We're going to be talking about this today. This is going to be a big deal. Glenn Stein, Realty Executives here. Happy Friday, February 21st, 2025. We're going to talk about, are there deals in the villages or not? Deal or no deal? Like, is another way to put it, is this the right time to buy or not in the villages? We're going to conquer that today. Obviously, one thing we're seeing a lot of right now, there is more demand right now because it is February, right? Snowbird season. It's nippy. What's the temperature in your place? Put it in the chat. Is your area a buyer's market or not? Short on inventory or not? I know it depends on where you are. It really does depend on where you are, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. I'm really calling this a buyer's market right now. Will it be a better market to buy later on? Maybe. I think it's possible. We've seen an increase in inventory over the last 2 years. We've seen more and more inventory, and we'll take a look at that. That'd be kind of fun to look at where that's gone. But really what I want to look at today is deal or no deal in the villages. That's exactly what we're going to be looking at right at the moment. And what you're looking at here, this particular chart is the villages MLS. Okay. Last 5 years, sold price per square foot. So what you're looking at is, January of 2025, right? That was the last full month that we've seen. The average price per square foot on closed sold properties is $228. That's less than what we saw last year. It's also a little bit less than 2023 and a little bit more than 2022. Be interesting to see what we see in February. But right now, sold price, if you look at 2024 and you look at each one of these months, you look at January, February, March, April, May, not June, not July, not August, not September, not October, not November, and not December. So that tells you the peak of the market. This is a nice, I wouldn't say it's nice, but I guess it's nice for buyers. We saw it increase pretty much. When did it start the increase? We're seeing, October, November of 2020, we're seeing an increase, right? Where it actually went up all the way through September, then it went down in November, and then finally up in December of 2020. And January went up, went down in February of 2021, but kept going up over the 200 mark through 2021, right? Interest rates are really low, market's crazy, big increases here, and then you're looking at 2022, it goes up a little bit, down in June of that year, down in July of 2022. Interest rates are going up at this point, right? They're compensating for inflation, and the jump up in pricing goes down a little bit. Then it goes down a little bit more to 233, 230. January of 2023 is down, and then we start seeing an increase, another climb in 23, all the way through June, and then obviously July of 2023 prices on the price per square foot on sold properties is going down. Then it comes up again, then down again, then up again, then down again, and then up consistently all the way through 24, all the way to July, where we're starting to see the prices go down. And we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight months where the sold price per square foot has gone down. And if you look at 228, the last time we saw 228 on a price per square foot on sold properties was back in February of 2022, right? And that was, at that moment, February of 2022 was a peak in the marketplace, because that is when, if you guys recall, that was a peak in the marketplace, because interest rates were starting to go up. We saw low interest rates in 2020. We saw like a 2-year run of low interest rates. Then all of a sudden there was like panic set in because, oh my gosh, we better go buy something because interest rates are jumping through the roof. And that's where your sold price per square foot obviously started to go down, right? So that's something to look at. The other thing that we need to look at is we're going to obviously we're doing this live. So the other thing we're going to look at some other statistics that I think you're going to find beneficial. So let's take a look at that. Let's jump to that. Obviously doing this live, so bear with me while I do the search. Let's look at, let's see, what do we want to look at? Let's look at number of sales. Let's see what's happened by month the last 5 years. So I'll tell you something too. Right. So, okay, now looking at this, actually, let's look at the charts. The charts will tell you something, right? Lots of up and down movement, kind of like what I was telling you. Lots of up and down, lots of up and down, up and down, up and down all the way the last 3 years, ever since 2022. But it seems like it's in a decline. If you look at it, it's going down, and there could be a case that we could be returning to 2021 numbers. That's very possible. Like, we don't know exactly. Some people might say, yeah, that's exactly where it's going. But if we start looking at, let's look at average sales price. And there's a few other things I want to look at with you, right? It's the evidence that we're providing, deal or no deal. And, average sales prices stayed steady, but now it's pointing in a downward trajectory. 274,000 average sales price in the Village's MLS, lowest we've seen since 2022. Yes, right. January of 2022. Right. We've seen a decline, and pretty much the decline has been happening through 2024 average sales price. So that's another piece of evidence. It looks like we're returning. I wouldn't be surprised if we're returning more towards a 2021 market. As far as pricing, I would not be surprised. So, by the way, if you're selling, it might be a good time to sell because, yes, things have gone down, but it's everything's pointing towards maybe even more price reductions because of the amount of inventory. So that there is a case for that for sure to sell now, take advantage of a decent marketplace, not as good as what it was, but waiting for a return to that could take a lot longer, by the way. Could take a while before that actually happens. So what we're going to do now is let's do a regular search. Right? I want to do a regular search. We're going to do actually really quick. It's not going to be incredibly accurate, but it's going to be pretty darn close. So I'm just going to put the Villages. I'm going to put Lady Lake. Actually, I'm just going to put in the Villages. It's going to leave off a couple without getting too complicated. It's missing about 20, 25 properties here. So let's look at the results. Let's actually narrow it down. Let's look at like let's look at square footage. Let's take the 1,600 to 1,800 square foot home. Okay. And 75 are active, but we're going to put in here sold. Let's see what's really happening on the sold properties. 69 sold properties in the last 6 months. Let's narrow it down even more. Let's just say, let's go back to criteria. Let's do year built. Let's say 2015 through 2025. So 16 properties. So if you look at 2015, so that's basically looking at 10 years or newer. And price range is 295 all the way to 500. Right? That's kind of gives you an idea, but mostly what we're seeing is you're looking at pretty much in that 300. Let's do current price here. Organize it by price. Yeah. So mostly about 400 is 400 to 420 is going to be the median in this case, right? 400 to 420. So we're going to take the same criteria and we're going to go back in time. All right. So we're going to look at, let's go back a year. Let's go back a year. How about that? So we're going to say, let's say maybe like August through August of 2023, all the way to like January or even, February. Where are we? 21st. Say, right? We're going to take that kind of like a similar snapshot, but just like about a year ago is what we're doing with the same criteria. Okay. And I'll give you, and look, this is not precise, but look, the range is different, right? Nothing under 300. Top level and was 500 in the last search. Now this is 605, and the median is going to be right around that 430 to 434 mark, which I think gives you an indication, right? And these are sold properties. These aren't what they're going for. We're not talking about active properties. We're talking about sold properties. We're talking about sold properties here. So, when we're looking at, and that's a snapshot, and I think you're going to find no matter what we search for, it's going to be very similar. That, when we're looking at like a year ago, where any category we're going to look at, prices were kind of here, not at a peak. I think if you look at like maybe even a year before, maybe it might be here, but now, you're seeing a little bit of a shift downwards in pricing. And then now it's probably here, right? A little bit lower. Like that kind of tells you we're seeing that. Just another approach. I think we've seen that with the price per square foot example I was showing you before, but this is another way to look at, what? Prices have come down. That's all there is to it. And with all the inventory that's on the market, over 650 properties on MLS and pretty much equal or pretty close to that on the VLS side. And then you've got new construction. You've got a real, 1,1600 homes on the market. That's a lot of homes with probably looking at about 400, maybe probably about 500 buyers, 400 to 500 buyers per month is about what we're looking at. So still good demand, but the inventory that's out there, a good time to buy. You can pick and choose. You can, take your time, but you can really sift through things. And I would, I think it's a good time to make offers. So I would say yes. Good time to deal if you're a buyer. If you have questions, by the way, broker owner of Realty Executives in the Villages, you can check out our website too for searching if you want to do that. We also have rentals and we do property management as well. Connect 352-572-3796. Love to hear your thoughts about what you think about the statistics that I presented today. 352-572-3796. Hope everybody has an absolutely great weekend.